You're watching the show that puts Mid-Michigan news in focus. This is Focal Point. The National Endowment of the Arts may face a devastating cut in Trump's new budget proposal, putting studios like this in jeopardy.
Coming up on Focal Point, I spoke to a father who lost his son from a heroin overdose in 2010. He lets us know just how serious this growing epidemic is.
And crowds of students come out in freezing cold temperatures to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Focal Point starts now. Good evening, I'm Chloe Keipel.
And I'm Cynthia Lee. Welcome to Focal Point. We'll have those stories in just a minute. But first, the vote to repeal and replace Obamacare has been delayed as Republicans work to gather enough House members to vote on the bill. At least 30 House Republicans have said they will vote against the plan. At this point, 9 of them will have to flip their vote for it to pass. President Trump and other House leaders spent this week corralling the votes they need but could not get enough to safely bring the bill to the floor. Members are demanding that the plan lower health care premiums by cutting back on things like emergency room care, maternity care, and mental health.
For 7.5 years, we have been promising the American people that we will repeal and replace this broken law because it's collapsing and it's failing families. And tomorrow we're proceeding.
Whether you call it Trump Care, or whether you call it the Broken Promises Bill, or whether you call it the Pay More and Get Less bill, it's a bad bill and we will fight it all the way.
President Trump is demanding a House vote today to repeal the bill. But realistically, GOP leaders want the bill passed in both chambers before the Easter recess in 2 weeks.
President Trump's new budget proposal has been met with mixed reviews. In a budget blueprint called America First, President Trump plans to boost defense, homeland security, and veteran affairs in 2018 by 10%, a $54 billion increase. Other agencies, such as the EPA and State Department, will see budget cuts, and there will be deep cuts in foreign aid. Trump's military boost is the largest since 1980 during the Pentagon buildup under Ronald Reagan.
We came at it, actually wrote the budget by going through the president's speeches, going through the interviews he had given and talking to him directly and finding out what his priorities were. We took those words, those policies, and turned them into numbers.
Trump's budget plan may hurt public broadcasters such as WKAR here in East Lansing. President Trump's budget may affect low-income families, making it challenging for nonprofits to fund after-school activities. Focal Point's Julie Dunmire shows us how cutting resources for the arts may hit close to home.
Hi Dave, this is Alice from Reach Studio.
With a lot of hard work.
It takes a lot of time.
Alice Brinkman built Reach Studio Art.
Drywalling takes forever.
With her own 2 hands.
I love to teach.
Now she hires the instructors.
That's awesome.
Like Daniel Nunez.
It shows.
Been really fortunate to have such great people.
Whose class
I know, I'm gonna give you a donut.
shapes more than just clay.
So I get to kind of roll in here, bond with kids.
And the kids are big fans of Dan, too.
He's really fun.
More than 100 kids come to Reach every week, and some of them tell me if they didn't come here, they wouldn't have access to art classes at all.
We don't get art class.
So Talitha Randolph spins and sculpts here instead.
Yeah.
What makes Reach unique?
Probably about 50% or more of our youth are getting the programming free or for a low fee.
I believe in you.
Grant money, about half of Reach's budget, helps with
Keeping the lights on.
the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs foots the bill. They get funding from the National Endowment for the Arts, cut in President Trump's federal budget.
Not gonna draw our parents.
It's scary to think about that funding going away.
Dan says his lessons are
I
priceless.
think giving kids an opportunity to think for themselves is really important, and I think that the arts provide that.
If Talitha Randolph didn't come here, there'd be a lot more family time.
I hate my sisters. I have 3 and they're all older than me.
For her sister's sake, a final budget will take about 6 months.
Just means more work.
Alice Brinkman isn't giving up.
Nice. Hey gang, it's getting towards the point where I'm supposed to make you clean up.
In Lansing, Julie Dunmire, Focal Point News.
Class fees are based on income, and the studio currently works with the Lansing School District to provide free lessons for their late start Wednesdays.
State Representative Joelle Jones is making history as the youngest member to ever be elected to the Michigan legislature. The Inkster native and currently University of Michigan student will balance his class load with his work in the House. He wants to focus on sexual assault issues on college campuses, cybersecurity, and criminal reform.
And really focused on increasing capacity and engagement, specifically in the Democratic Party, but just the community in general, and really focusing on getting young people, not necessarily just in office, but just engaged in the community in general.
Selected to replace the late Judy Plawecki, who died of a heart attack last June.
Big news from the Vatican after Pope Francis said he may allow married men to become priests. Focal Point's Kelly Collins shows how local Catholics are reacting to the news.
Son sumamente simbólicos.
You know, when he speaks, everybody listens.
Indeed, Pope Francis's latest statement has been a huge talker.
I think it's about time.
Priests have always had a long tradition of celibacy.
There's the quotation in Matthew that, you know, you can, there are those that are celibate for the sake of the kingdom.
But this may soon change. Pope Francis addressed a shortage of priests in a recent interview with the German newspaper Die Zeit, calling this an enormous problem for the Catholic Church. And that's part of the reason Pope Francis said he may be open to married men becoming priests.
He's fearless.
Father Mark Inglot has been a Catholic priest for 25 years. He is a pastor of St. John and St. Thomas Aquinas here in East Lansing. If this were to go through, it would exclude single Catholic men who are already ordained priests. Father Inglot understands this, as he's already made a lifetime commitment to celibacy.
I think people in the pew are ready for it, and I think the clergy that I know are ready for it too.
Susan Peters is Catholic. She had a similar reaction.
I think it's about time.
Father Inglot said here in the United States, it's one priest for every 1,300 Catholics, where in South and Central America,
that's where the priest-to-people ratio is huge. Like in Brazil, it's one priest for every 10,000 Catholics.
Deacon Dave Zygmunt-Chovitz said,
If this is something the church is going to consider, I mean, Peter was the first pope, he was married.
Father Inglot said there's no theological reason priests shouldn't be able to be married.
St. Paul was not married, Jesus was not married, but St. Peter was married because Jesus healed his mother-in-law. So obviously, to have a mother-in-law, you have to have a wife.
This decision could be a big game changer for the Catholic Church, and now Catholics will have to sit back and wait to see what happens. In East Lansing for Focal Point, I'm Kelly Collins.
No word on when the Vatican will make that final ruling. 6 months ago, freshman Mitchell Kiefer died in a car crash. After the break, Sierra Cersei explains the importance of driving without distractions.
Up next on Focal Point, see how one Michigan State teen's life was dramatically affected by distracted driving.
When do we give up? When do we just close our eyes and say, that's it? This water's too polluted. This disease too far along. To a Spartan, the answer is simple. Never. Because Michigan State was founded on the belief that our purpose is to make the world a better place. And when you're open to unconventional thinking, value people's differences, and are willing to forge true partnerships, then and only then can you solve the world's toughest problems. Like renewable energy, clean water, and Parkinson's disease. Because we know our true triumph lies in the impact we make on the world around us. And after all, if we don't do it, who will? Spartans will.
There are moments of triumph, of discovery, and achievement. But what makes these moments possible? It's the early mornings, the late nights. It's having the will to persevere. So let's take a moment to celebrate. But more importantly, let's salute the will it takes to get there. Spartans will.
Green, greener than the hill. the flowers grew and the sun shone still. Now I'm darker than the deepest sea. Just hand me down, give me a place to be.
It's an all too familiar story. A distracted driver leads to a fatal accident. Focal Point's Sierra Searcy speaks to friends of one local victim, hoping to prevent another tragedy.
While driving, there can be many distractions.
There's no need to answer a text right now.
Sergeant Scott Dawson is cracking down on distracted drivers.
The accident reports in the state of Michigan now track whether or not drivers were distracted when they had the accident.
Distracted driving is the cause of about 1.6 million accidents every year.
We don't want anybody to get hurt.
Texting, using social media, or putting on makeup are all distracted driving. About 300,000 people are victims of distracted driving each year, Mitchell Kiefer being one of them.
I think about him every single day.
Former Michigan State student Mitchell Kiefer was on his way back to school when
a girl behind him who was speeding and distracted driving didn't notice traffic was stopped because she was looking at her phone, and she rear-ended Mitchell, sent him across the median.
And at only 18 years old.
He was said to be dead on impact.
I turn my phone off every time I get in the car, and I think especially this situation that happened with Mitchell, it shows how one small thing of distracted driving can impact so many people's lives.
To friends and to family. Mitchell will be remembered as the fun, dependable.
I don't know, our friendship was something that could never be taken away from me and always be special in my heart.
Guy they all knew and loved.
If there's something so urgent that you have to read it now, then I guess you probably shouldn't be driving.
Fines for using a cell phone while driving can be up to $200. In East Lansing, Sierra Searcy, Focal Point News.
Mitchell Kiefer would have turned 19 this Monday. Students are denied counseling services due to staff shortages.
And students came out in full force to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Kelly Cullen-Jones is now from the newsroom with these stories and more on our on-campus report.
That's right, Cynthia. Last year, nearly 3,000 students went to the counseling center to deal with mental health issues, according to a report from Keeling & Associates. Across the country, mental health issues are on the rise. The American Psychological Association says that the election has caused stress across party lines. And a consulting firm noted that MSU's campus has more issues compared to national averages. Focal Point's Chloe Keipel brings us more.
College
I'm currently taking 18 credits.
Is a balancing act.
On top of ensembles, rehearsals.
For music education major Shannon Moore,
I'm honestly stressed out and freaking out all the time.
It can sometimes be too much.
Depression. I've always been a very anxious person.
Her professor told her to seek help on campus.
I got the walk-in appointment, but after that she's like, I wouldn't be able to start seeing you on a regular basis for another couple weeks.
She's talking about the MSU Counseling Center, which is now severely understaffed thanks to an uptick in mental health issues on campus.
What I ended up doing was using that as a stepping off point to seek counseling outside of MSU.
Let's pretend these pennies represent MSU students, and this quarter represents a counselor that serves them. Each of these stacks represents 100 students. According to the Keeling report, there should be about one counselor for every 1,500 students. But last year, the student-to-counselor ratio was more like this, 1 to 5,000.
So we're taking that part of the report extremely seriously.
And the university is doubling counseling center staff.
We're planning on having, let's say, 8 or 9 more staff on the ground as of September.
On the one hand, there's so many resources, that's awesome, but on the other hand, some students are still falling through the cracks.
And the counseling center sees that in the data.
Bottom line is we're listening and we're using the data to inform the staffing model.
And for Shannon, that's welcome news.
For me, it comes back to so many of the problems that we have could be solved with making mental health resources more accessible.
In East Lansing, Chloe Keipel, Focal Point News.
To find out more about the Counseling Center, go to counseling.msu.edu. It's called the FRIB,
or the Facility for Rare Isotype Beams. And the new scientific construction project is going to bring billions, with a B, to the state's economy. The FRIB will be the world's most powerful rare isotype beam facility in the world. A new economic study says that the facility will add $4.4 billion to the state. It has already created 1,500 construction jobs, and when it's finished, MSU officers hope to hire 1,000 new employees. Construction is ahead of schedule and will be completed by 2022. MSU's nuclear physics graduate program is already #1 in the country, and President Simon anticipates that the project will attract more scientists to the university. Severe weather conditions didn't put a stop to St. Patrick's Day celebrations last Friday, but it wasn't just about the green beer. Focal Point's Amber Howard shows us why.
We woke up with a mission.
A mission to celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
It's not what's outside, it's what's inside.
Despite the 28-degree weather, people flooded the streets to enjoy their last St. Patty's Day as a Spartan.
Mistake.
Close to my last year, and I just wanted to come out and just enjoy the environment.
For most, the holiday means getting up early and sporting all the green they could find in their closet, and of course, having plenty of their favorite beverage.
I wanted one goat.
But for Emily Warschild,
we couldn't get one goat, so we ended up with a mobile petting zoo.
Each year, Warschild, area director at Cedar Village, spends her day differently than most.
We started this event 4 years ago. We wanted to do something fun and engaging.
From horses to goats to cows and even a well-very dressed alpaca, residents enjoyed the luck of the Irish at Cedar Village. Others avoided the cold.
I'll help you out.
Ali Hader celebrated his St. Patrick's Day behind the counter.
Today, most of our sales were beer and wine. That's what we sell the most today. And everybody is getting drunk.
In order to prevent drunk driving, Ali encouraged people to use free parking provided by downtown East Lansing.
We want to make sure that nobody drives after that. And as a part of the community, as a part of MSU, a lot of people get arrested, a lot of people get DUI.
And for those who brave the cold, St. Patty's Day is not one to spend inside. In East Lansing, Amber Howard, Focal Point News.
The ELPD said 32 arrests were made during St. Patrick's Day celebrations, along with 2 injured officers and 36 hospital runs. Another local business leaves Grand River. Velvet, a candy and cupcake store, was open at their location on the 500 block of Grand River for nearly 2 years. Now the store has nothing but empty counters, remnants of signs, and a few remaining cupcake stickers. Left in its place, Musselman Realty owns a property and it's currently up for rent. If a small business wants to stay alive on the Grand River stretch, East Lansing Downtown Management Coordinator Eric Fox says that the community involvement is key.
The population of Michigan State, as well as my colleagues here at City Hall, really get attached to local businesses and the business owners because everyone is so community oriented. So it's really too bad to see, especially such a great business, leave the town.
I don't know what I was doing. With 75 shares and counting on their posts about leaving East Lansing, Velvet's customers and neighbors like Peanut Barrel say the business will be missed. Velvet has had a couple locations up north that have closed over the years too. The owners hinted on Facebook they may be reopening somewhere soon, but no word yet on a location. That's what's happening on campus. I'm Callie Collins. Cynthia, back to you.
Opioid addiction is a growing epidemic, and a panel of experts joined together recently to discuss what can be done. Focal Point's Kelly Collins takes us there as we hear from one father whose son died from opioid abuse.
Fight for life.
My son died of a heroin overdose.
Mike Hurst lost his 24-year-old son Andy in 2010. He then made it his mission to educate others on opiate abuse and offer his support.
After I saw the pain and the anguish that he went through, and many of his friends went through, I have a moral responsibility. Because
Mike said his son's addiction was the last thing on his radar. He was a nice kid from Jackson with lots of friends who had everything going for him.
So to let me down easy was to say, hey, I'm hooked on prescription drugs. And he did let me down easy. That did sound a lot better.
But after nearly 2 years using Oxycontin prescription drugs, Andy escalated into a full-blown heroin addict.
What had happened was...
And Mike soon realized...
Vicodin, Norcos, Percocet, Oxycontin, heroin, they're all from the same source.
All of these are from a family of drugs called opiates.
You can't take a day off from opiate addiction.
For most addicts, every day involves getting the drug and finding the money to get to their dealer.
because without it, the dopamine level drops. They feel like you feel and I feel when we first wake up in the morning.
Michigan State Police Lieutenant Lisa G. Cram heads a drug enforcement team in Jackson County.
Very profitable business.
She said a gram of heroin is running for about $150.
They don't care that they're killing people, and it doesn't matter.
Michigan State Lieutenant Cram says she uses a 4-pound bag of sugar to demonstrate what 2 kilograms of heroin looks like. So the price for this goes for around $48,000. Mike said that people have this perception that a heroin addict is going to look different than everyone else.
They look just like me and you.
People are often afraid to speak out when they know someone is using.
He's only going to be mad at you till he realizes that you just saved his life.
Many in the crowd showing emotion after hearing Mike's story.
Sorry, I have kids, and we're just starting this conversation, but...
And that's just what Mike encourages. Get engaged, and don't be afraid to talk about it. And he will continue to do this for as long as this epidemic continues. In East Lansing for Focal Point News, I'm Kelly Cullen.
Mike Hurst will continue to tell his son's story and inform the public on how serious this addiction is.
Coming up next, Matt Micah gives us a full breakdown of the week in sports. He joins us from the sports desk to give us a little preview. Matt?
Thanks, guys. Finally, March Madness. The Spartans took a long trip out to Tulsa, Oklahoma for the first round of the tournament. Flight 22, yep, you're clear for takeoff. Miles Bridges with the putback slam. That's just silly. We'll show you how they fared in the opening weekend and much more, all coming up in sports.
What makes a Spartan a Spartan? The relentless drive to turn question marks into exclamation points. Believing that we are strong as one, but extraordinary together. And it's our impact that matters most. What makes a Spartan is what's inside, the commitment to something bigger. Because the world never stops asking, who will? Spartans will.
There are moments of triumph, of discovery, and achievement. But what makes these moments possible? It's the early mornings, the late nights. It's having the will to persevere. So let's take a moment to celebrate. But more importantly, let's salute the will it takes to get there. Spartans will.
Green, greener than the hill, where flowers grow and the sun shines still. Now I'm darker than the deepest sea. Just hand me down, give me a place to be.
Welcome back to Focal Point. I'm Matt Micah. 19 former players from the 2016 MSU football team auditioned in front of NFL coaches and scouts as Michigan State held its annual Pro Day this week. Media availability was restricted throughout the day. Usually the event is open to reporters. Player workouts were off limits to the media, and post-interviews were limited. Currently, 3 MSU football players are under investigation for sexual assault as the Michigan State University Police Department requested 4 arrest warrants on February 16th. 3 for sexual assault and the 4th for a non-sexual crime. The 3 players under investigation have been suspended by the team and removed from university housing, but remain enrolled at the school. Recruiting coordinator Curtis Blackwell has also been suspended with pay, but the athletic department declined to provide any more details on the suspension, pending the results of the investigation. But the show did go on. Former Spartans R.J. Shelton, Josiah Price, and Riley Bulla were closely looked at during Pro Day. All 3 were excited and eager to make the most out of the opportunity.
Doing the things I did here at Michigan State is something that, I'm like a utility guy. I can do whatever, backfield, punts, kick returns, play wide receiver inside or out. Whatever the team needs me to do for us to be successful is what I'm willing to do that.
You're always working for that opportunity at the next level and at the NFL, and I've always dreamed of this
moment in this day, and now it was here. It was really cool to go through it, cool to work out, and it was really fun.
It was awesome being back in the indoor working out with my teammates who I've done so many workouts with in there. So to be able to do that and perform well, and you know, it kind of just closes the book on my Michigan State career. So I'm moving on to the NFL. So it's been awesome here, but you know, I look forward to what comes next.
But at the end of the day, it's just, you know, you got to come out and show that you can be a player, and just hope for the best. And you know, everything's on you when this day comes, and you know, I feel like I maximized it.
A few weeks ago, Malik McDowell, Monte Nicholson, and Bulla competed in the NFL Combine. In Mark D'Antonio's tenure, Michigan State has sent 43 participants to the Combine, and last season, a record-tying 7 Spartans attended the workout. All 7 made active NFL rosters during the 2016 regular season. Michigan State Athletics Director Mark Hollis announced Tuesday that Tom Anastas will step down from his position as head coach of the Spartan hockey program. Anastas had a winning percentage just under .400 in his 6 seasons at Michigan State, guiding the Spartans to a berth in the 2012 NCAA tournament after going 19, 16, and 4 in his first season. Spartan fans across campus wish Anastas nothing but the best, but know a change needed to be made.
Well, I think Tom Anastas certainly did his best here at Michigan State. Loyal Spartan, put his heart and soul into this program, but at the end of the day, you got to have success on the ice, and the success just wasn't there.
Wins and losses matter, and you know, he lost over 100 games here at MSU, and you know, I wish him nothing but the best. I think he's going to find a good job somewhere else.
There's a lot of optimism surrounding Spartan hockey now, more so than there was 24 hours ago, and that's a good start at least.
Assistant coach Tom Newen will serve as interim head coach while a national search is conducted to replace Anastas. Michigan State baseball dominated in their home opener this week, defeating Central Michigan 11-2. All 9 batters in Michigan State's lineup recorded a hit, and sophomore first baseman Alex Troop led the charge, going 3 for 4 with an RBI. Before the game, head coach Jake Boss was recognized for his 300th career victory. Boss was given a ceremonial ball from MSU Athletics Director Mark Hollis. Michigan State will open Big Ten Conference action at Illinois this weekend in Champaign. Today's game, the series opener, is at 7. Michigan State softball traveled to South Bend earlier this week, and despite battling back from a 4-0 deficit, MSU eventually fell to the Irish after Notre Dame exploded for a 6-run 5th inning, losing 11-3. The Spartans fall to 15-8 overall and will begin Big Ten play this weekend in a 3-game series against Purdue. First pitch is today. It's at 6. Michigan State moved to the round of 32 after defeating the Miami Hurricanes in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. The Spartans took on the top-seeded Kansas Jayhawks, and 2 of the best freshmen in the country. They were in the national spotlight once again. Childhood Miles Bridges and Josh Jackson went back and forth all night long, but Jackson and the Jayhawks defeated Michigan State 90-70. Bridges finished with 22 points to lead Michigan State, while Nick Ward also finished in double figures with 13 points. Joshua Langford had 10 injuries, and youth hindered MSU this season, but despite the early exit, the future looks bright for Michigan State basketball.
You know, adversity, you know, you can look at it 2 ways, you know. You can look at it as a negative, or you can look at it as a positive. Right now, it's hard to look at it as a positive, but I feel like, you know, this team is going to look at it as a positive. I know me personally, I'm going to, you know, really dig deep down inside of me this summer, and y'all, when I come back, it's going to be a totally different person, and, you know, I'm going to remember this moment.
As for the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, all eyes will be on Miles Bridges this offseason. Will he stay or will he go pro? Either way, Bridges had a record-breaking campaign. Bridges averaged 16.9 points per game to become the first freshman to lead MSU in scoring since Sean Resper in 91-92, and his second scoring average is second best all-time among Spartan freshmen, trailing only behind Magic Johnson. After the loss, Bridges expressed how much this team and this year meant to him.
I'm really frustrated because I wouldn't want to win a national championship with any other team because we had a really special bond. But I know those guys are going to be good. I know our seniors are going to be good.
Michigan State women's hoops fell 73-61 to the 8th-seeded Arizona State Sun Devils in the first round of the NCAA tournament last week. Senior Tori Jankowska, the nation's 10th leading scorer, she led the way with 26 points, but it wasn't enough as MSU lost in the first round for the first time since 2012. During the month of March, everyone scrambles filling out a bracket, studying the matchups and picking their favorite upsets. However, for this Thurston Elementary 5th grade class, the month of March isn't for researching RPIs or wins versus top 10 opponents. It's to read.
The month of March
is for madness.
Planned in by Bridges.
And books.
March is reading month.
So for Amy Lauerman's 5th grade class, there are no buzzer beaters.
We've actually got a Grumpy Cat book.
Or Cinderella stories.
Harry Potter, which is always, last year that was a big one too. We had 2 Harry Potter books this year.
Just different stories.
The whole idea of March is trying to get kids interested in books, reading new books.
And say,
hey, this was super awesome, you really gotta read it.
Because trying new genres has this bracket buzzing.
We start off with our Sweet 16.
As the committee of students picked their favorite 16 books,
recommended their favorite books,
and for each round, a project awaits.
Once we get down to our final 2, they create a video to get us excited and kind of a trailer about their book.
Making sure not to overlook any sleepers.
For one student to be really excited about a book and then get somebody else excited, it just sparks the whole excitement of March Madness.
And it's the excitement that carries teams or books into the Final Four.
Because reading is so huge and so important, and it happens to coincide with March's reading month, so let's throw it all together and see if we can get them really excited about reading.
And for Amy, this is just one of many fun, engaging activities she has her students do during the course of the year. Her classroom has been transformed into a 50s cafe to learn about nonfiction reading, and then it switched to a spy school, all to promote putting evidence in their writing. And that wraps up sports. Cynthia, Chloe, back to you.
Thanks, Matt. One of the largest cultural celebrations was held last night at the International Center for Diverse Communities of MSU. Break walls, build bridges. That was the theme last night at the Cultural Remix, hosted by Office of Academic Transitions and the UAB. Students showcased a variety of diverse performances to unite different cultural identities. These performances help make a large campus like MSU smaller by inviting people from various backgrounds to learn about one another.
I think events like this have the power to bring people together from various backgrounds, various beliefs, and various differences. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans, right? Everybody, we're all brothers and sisters, right? We're all from planet Earth, and regardless of where we live in this world, events like this showcase the diversity that the world has to offer.
And when you have food, music, and dance, you have love and culture. This celebration of culture happens twice a year, with the next one in September.
Thanks for tuning in to Focal Point. I'm Cynthia Lee.
And I'm Chloe Keipel. We leave you with the MSU Symphony Band, who performed Tuesday evening. Good night.